My name is Adil, and I've been fascinated by history for as long as I can remember. You see, history isn't just about dates and famous names in a textbook. It's about the tangible things people left behind, the objects that tell a story. And there are few things that tell a story better than money. The US dollar coin, for instance, isn't just a piece of metal you might get as change. It's a pocket-sized piece of American history, a chronicle of the nation's growth, its art, and its ambitions. Each design, each mint mark, each imperfection tells you something about the time it was made. You never know what's going to come through that door, and sometimes what looks like a simple dollar is actually a key to the past. Over the years, some of these coins have become legendary among collectors. They're not just valuable, they're icons. We're talking about pieces so rare, so storied, that they command prices that would make your head spin. But what makes them so special? Is it just the low mintage numbers? Or is there more to it? It's about the story, the mystery, and the journey these coins have taken through time. It's the thrill of the hunt, the pride of ownership, and the connection to a bygone era. These coins are the rock stars of the numismatic world, and each one has a tale worthy of a Hollywood movie. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the world of high-stakes numismatics. We'll count down the top 8 most valuable US dollar coins ever struck. We're not just talking about their price tags, we're going to explore their history, the stories behind their creation, and the unique characteristics that make them worth millions. From the very first dollar minted by the United States to a modern-day mistake that created an instant collectible, we're going to uncover what makes these coins the ultimate treasures. So stick around because you're about to see some of the rarest and most fascinating pieces of American currency in existence. You might learn something. Let's start at the very beginning. The year is 1794. The United States is a brand new country, still figuring things out. One of the most important things a new nation needs is its own currency, a symbol of its sovereignty and economic independence. Enter the 1794 flowing hair dollar. This wasn't just another coin. This was the first silver dollar ever struck by the US Mint. It was a declaration to the world that America was here to stay. Think about the history packed into this single piece of silver. It was minted just a few years after the Constitution was ratified. George Washington was president. The hands that touched this coin could have belonged to the founding fathers themselves. The design was created by Robert Scott, the first chief engraver of the US Mint. On the obverse, you have a portrait of Lady Liberty with her hair flowing freely, a powerful symbol of freedom in a newly liberated nation. On the reverse, a rather slender-looking eagle is surrounded by a wreath. It might look a little primitive compared to later designs, but that's part of its charm. It represents the humble beginnings of a nation that would go on to become a global superpower. Every line, every detail on this coin speaks of the aspirations of early America. It's a tangible piece of the nation's birth certificate. Now, why is this coin so incredibly valuable? Rarity is a huge factor. The minting process back then was, to put it mildly, not great. The coin press was manually operated and couldn't strike the coins with uniform pressure. As a result, many of the coins were poorly struck. The total mintage was a mere 1,758 pieces, and experts believe that only around 130 to 150 of those survive today. Finding one in any condition is a challenge, but finding one in pristine condition is the holy grail for collectors. It's the ultimate one that got away from most people in the business. The historical significance is off the charts. This coin represents the foundation of the American monetary system. It set the standard for the nation's currency for over a century. Owning a 1794 flowing hair dollar is like owning the first ever copy of a book that became a worldwide bestseller. It's the genesis, the original artifact from which all other US silver dollars descend. You can't put a price on that kind of historical weight, but the market certainly tries. It's a piece that every serious collector dreams of having in their collection. Let's talk numbers, because that's where things get really interesting. For years, this coin was the pinnacle of numismatic collecting, but in 2013, it shattered all expectations. A specific specimen, believed to be the very first one struck and preserved in incredible condition, went up for auction. When the hammer finally fell, the price was a staggering $10,016,875. That's right, over $10 million for a single coin. This sale didn't just break the record for a US dollar, it broke the world record for any coin sale at the time. That $10 million price tag cemented the 1794 flowing hair dollar status as a legend. It's not just a coin, it's a piece of art, a historical document, and one of the most sought-after artifacts in American history. The combination of its role as the first U.S. silver dollar, its extreme rarity, its beautiful and symbolic design, and its record-breaking auction performance makes it the undisputed #1 on our list. It's the kind of thing you see once in a lifetime, if you're lucky. When you look at this coin, you're not just seeing silver, you're seeing the ambition of a young republic, the dawn of a new economic era, and a direct link to the very foundation of the United States. It's a testament to the fact that sometimes the most valuable things aren't just about the material they're made of, but the story they carry with them through the centuries. And the story of the flowing hair dollar is one of the greatest ever told in the world of collecting. It's the ultimate pawn star. If the 1794 flowing hair is the genesis, then the 1804 draped bust dollar is the legend, the myth. This coin is famously known as the king of American coins, and for good reason. It's a coin shrouded in mystery and intrigue, with a backstory that sounds more like a spy novel than a piece of currency. The first thing you need to know, and this is the crazy part, is that no silver dollars with the date 1804 were actually minted in 1804, so how does this coin even exist? That's where the story gets really good. The tale begins in 1834. President Andrew Jackson wanted to create special sets of coins to be used as diplomatic gifts for foreign rulers, including the Sultan of Muscat and the King of Siam. The U.S. Mint was tasked with creating proof sets of all the circulating coins of the day. The problem was, the silver dollar hadn't been minted since 1803. The mint officials, looking at their records, mistakenly believed the last year of issue was 1804. So they created new dies with the 1804 date and struck a handful of these magnificent draped bust dollars specifically for these diplomatic sets. These original coins struck in 1834 are known as Class 1 1804 dollars. There are only 8 of these known to exist. Think about that. Only 8 coins were made for kings and sultans, true presentation pieces of the highest quality. They feature the draped bust design of Liberty on the obverse, and a heraldic eagle on the reverse, a design that was a step up in artistic quality from the earlier flowing hair dollar. These coins were never meant for circulation. They were ambassadors in silver, showcasing the best of American craftsmanship. The story doesn't end there. After the existence of these 1804 dollars became known in the collecting community, a frenzy began. The demand was so high that a few enterprising mint employees decided to get in on the action. In the late 1850s, they secretly struck a few more, creating what are now known as Class 2 and Class 3 restrikes. The Class 2 is unique, with only one specimen known, which now resides in the Smithsonian. The Class 3 coins were made to sell to collectors, but even these are incredibly rare, with only 6 known examples. The allure of the 1804 dollar comes from this bizarre origin story, combined with its extreme rarity. When you talk about the original Class 1 specimens, you're talking about a population of just 8 coins. Each one is a celebrity in its own right, with a well-documented pedigree tracing its ownership back through some of the most famous coin collections in history. Owning one is like owning a piece of numismatic royalty. It's a coin that was born from a historical mistake and became an icon. Because of this, the value is astronomical. The most famous example, the Sultan of Muscat Water's Brandchild's Pogue specimen, sold for an incredible $7,680,000 in 2021. Every time one of the Class 1 coins comes up for auction, the entire collecting world stops to watch. It's an event. The price isn't just for the silver or the design, it's for the story, the exclusivity, and the title of king. You're buying a legend, and legends don't come cheap. So when you hear the name 1804 draped bust dollar, remember it's more than just a date on a coin. It's a symbol of rarity, a piece of diplomatic history, and a testament to the strange and wonderful ways that legendary collectibles are made. It's a coin that wasn't meant to be, yet it became one of the most desirable objects in American history. It truly earns its title as the king, a crown jewel in the world of numismatics. You have to have a lot of history and a lot of money to get your hands on one of these. Now we move to a different kind of dollar, one that wasn't even meant to be used in America. This is the trade dollar. In the late 19th century, the US was competing with other nations for trade in East Asia, particularly China. To make things easier, they created the trade dollar, a silver coin with a slightly higher silver content than the standard Morgan dollar, designed to compete with the Mexican silver dollars that were popular in the region. For several years, these were minted for commerce. But the story of our next coin, the 1885 trade dollar, is very different. By 1885, the production of trade dollars for circulation had long since stopped. The coin was no longer needed for its original purpose, and the program was effectively dead. However, the US Mint had a tradition of striking a very small number of proof coins for collectors each year. These proofs are special strikes, made with polished dies and planchets to create a mirror-like finish. They are the absolute highest quality a coin can be. In 1885, the Mint struck a tiny batch of proof trade dollars, and when I say tiny, I mean tiny. This is what makes the 1885 trade dollar one of the greatest rarities in American coinage. The official records show that only 5 of these coins were ever minted. 5. That's not a typo. You can count the entire population of this coin on one hand. It was never intended for commerce, never meant to be spent in a market in Shanghai or a shop in Philadelphia. It was created purely as a collectible, an object of desire for the most discerning numismatists of the era. For decades, the existence of these 5 coins was the stuff of legend. Their whereabouts were a topic of intense speculation and research among top collectors. Tracking the history or provenance of each of the 5 specimens became a field of study in itself. Each coin has a name, a history, a list of famous collectors who were its temporary custodians. It's like tracking the lineage of a royal family. You have the Eliasberg specimen, the Garrett specimen, and so on. The design itself is beautiful. The obverse, designed by William Barber, shows a seated Liberty figure gazing out towards the west, towards Asia, symbolizing the coin's purpose. The reverse features a majestic eagle and, importantly, lists the coin's weight and fineness, 420 grains, 0.900 fine silver. A key piece of information for the international merchants it was designed to attract. On the 1885 proof, this design is rendered with breathtaking perfection, the fields gleaming like mirrors and the devices frosted like sculpture. So what happens when an object with a known population of only 5 comes to market? The price goes through the roof. You're not just buying a coin, you're buying entry into one of the most exclusive clubs in the world. In 2019, one of these 5 legendary coins, the Eliasberg specimen, came up for auction. The bidding was fierce, as you can imagine. When the dust settled, it had sold for an astonishing $3,960,000. That's nearly $4 million for a coin that was never meant to be spent. The 1885 trade dollar is the perfect example of how pure rarity can create incredible value. It's not famous for being the first of its kind, nor is it surrounded by a mystery of being struck in the wrong year. Its story is simple. It is one of the rarest US coins ever officially produced. Its value comes from its scarcity, its beauty as a proof coin, and the prestige of owning something that only 4 other people in the world can have. It's a true masterpiece of numismatics. Ask any serious coin collector to name the most famous, most coveted Morgan dollar, and you'll almost always get the same answer, the 1893S. The Morgan Silver Dollar series is arguably the most popular and widely collected classic American coin. Minted from 1878 to 1904, and again in 1921, these big, beautiful silver coins are icons of the American West. But among the dozens of different date and mint mark combinations, the 1893S stands alone as the undisputed king. So what makes this particular coin so special? It comes down to a perfect storm of historical circumstances. First, the mintage. In 1893, the San Francisco Mint, indicated by the S Mint mark on the reverse, struck only 100,000 Morgan dollars. This was a very low number to begin with, especially for a workhorse coin like the Morgan. By comparison, the Philadelphia Mint often struck tens of millions in a single year. So, right from the start, the 1893S was destined to be a scarce coin. But the low mintage is only part of the story. The real drama comes from 2 major events. First, 1893 saw a major economic panic and depression. People were hoarding silver and gold, and the demand for new coinage plummeted. This is one reason the mintage was so low. But the second event was the real killer blow for the 1893S. In 1918, Congress passed the Pittman Act, a law that authorized the melting of up to 350 million silver dollars to be converted into bullion. This act was a catastrophe for coin collectors. Millions upon millions of Morgan dollars, many of them uncirculated and sitting in treasury vaults for decades, were unceremoniously dumped into melting pots. Because the 1893S was already a low mintage coin, it's believed that a huge proportion of the original 100,000 were destroyed in the Great Melt. No one knows for sure how many, but the result is that very few survived, and even fewer survived in high-grade, uncirculated condition. Finding an 1893S Morgan in any condition is a major score for a collector. Most of the surviving examples are heavily worn, having seen extensive use in the saloons and general stores of the Old West. These circulated examples can still be worth thousands of dollars, but the real prize, the coin that collectors dream about, is a mint state, or uncirculated, 1893S. These are coins that somehow escaped circulation and the melting pot, preserving their original luster and detail. There are very, very few of these in existence. The extreme rarity of high-grade examples has driven the price into the stratosphere. It is the ultimate key date coin for the Morgan Dollar series, the one piece every collector needs to complete their set, and the one that most will never be able to afford. In 2021, a gem-quality PCGS-graded MS67 specimen, one of the finest known to exist, came to auction. The result was a new record for a Morgan dollar, a breathtaking $2.09 million. This sale solidified its reputation as the most valuable and desirable coin in this iconic series. The 1893S Morgan dollar is more than just a rare coin. It's a survivor. It's a piece of the American West that dodged a financial panic, survived decades of circulation, and escaped the melting pots of the Pittman Act. Its story is one of scarcity, survival, and immense desirability. For collectors of Morgan dollars, it is the pinnacle of the series, the unassailable king that commands respect and a multi-million-dollar price tag. It's a true legend of American numismatics. You might be noticing a pattern here. The rarest of the rare are often coins that weren't meant to be. We're heading back to the trade dollar series for our next entry, the 1884 trade dollar. Much like its even rarer 1885 sibling, the 1884 was never intended for circulation. The business of minting trade dollars for commerce in Asia had ended years earlier. These were created for one reason, and one reason only: to satisfy the demands of the small but influential coin-collecting community of the time. This coin exists only in proof format. That means every single 1884 trade dollar was specially struck using polished dies on polished planchets to create that beautiful mirror-like finish that collectors prize. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced these as part of their annual proof sets, which were sold to collectors who wanted an example of each coin denomination produced that year. But even for a proof-only issue, the mintage of the 1884 trade dollar was minuscule. The official mint records state that only 10, that's right, 10, specimens were struck. A population of 10 makes this one of the rarest coins in all of American numismatics. While the 1885 trade dollar is rarer with a mintage of 5, a population of 10 still puts the 1884 in an incredibly exclusive category. For collectors, any coin with a mintage this low is considered a holy grail item. There are simply not enough to go around, which is the classic recipe for high value. For many years, the history of these 10 coins was a subject of intense research. Numismatists have painstakingly traced the ownership history or provenance of each of the 10 known examples. This coin wasn't discovered by the wider collecting public until 1908, decades after it was struck. This added a layer of mystery to its story. Imagine being a collector and suddenly learning of the existence of a coin you never knew was made, and that only 10 exist. The frenzy to acquire one would have been immediate. The design is the same classic William Barber creation as other trade dollars: Liberty seated on the obverse, looking out over the sea, and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. But when you see it in proof condition, the design takes on a new life. The contrast between the frosted, sculpted devices and the deeply mirrored fields is stunning. It's a work of art, a perfect execution of the engraver's vision, preserved for over a century because these coins were never subjected to the wear and tear of circulation. Naturally, with only 10 known, the price for an 1884 trade dollar is immense. Whenever one of these 10 titans makes a rare appearance at auction, it's a major event. Collectors and investors with very deep pockets line up for a chance to own a piece of numismatic history this exclusive. one of the finest known examples, graded proof 65 by PCGS, sold at auction for a powerful $1.14 million. This price solidifies its status as one of the most elite and valuable coins in the hobby. The 1884 trade dollar is a testament to the power of scarcity. It doesn't have the first ever status or a wild backstory like the 1804 dollar. Its claim to fame is simple and powerful. There are only 10 of them. It's a beautiful, perfectly crafted coin that was made for the sole purpose of being collected. Its incredible rarity and seven-figure value make it a cornerstone of any world-class collection of American coins. It's a quiet legend, but a legend nonetheless. Our next coin is a true enigma, a ghost from the San Francisco Mint. This is the 1870s seated Liberty dollar. The seated Liberty design is a classic, used on the dollar coin from 1840 to 1873. It's a beautiful, stately design by Christian Gobrecht, but the story of the 1870s issue is one of the most baffling and intriguing mysteries in the entire history of the US Mint. It's a coin that, according to some records, shouldn't even exist. Here's the puzzle. Official mint records for 1870 show no silver dollars were struck in San Francisco that year. 0. The S-Mint was busy churning out other denominations, but the logbooks are clear. No dollars were planned or recorded. However, we know they exist. How is that possible? The prevailing theory centers on a single, momentous event that year, the laying of the cornerstone for the new San Francisco Mint building, a magnificent structure that would later be known as the Granite Lady. The story goes that as part of the ceremony for laying this cornerstone, Mint officials wanted to include a set of 1870 dated coins produced at the San Francisco Mint. Since they hadn't planned on making any dollars, they supposedly prepared a special set of dies and struck a very small number of them specifically to be placed in the cornerstone, and perhaps as presentation pieces for dignitaries. This would explain why no mintage was officially recorded. They weren't part of the regular production run. This origin story, while not 100% confirmed, is the most logical explanation for this phantom coin. The exact number struck is unknown. For a long time, it was thought that maybe only one or two existed outside of the cornerstone. Today, the number of known traceable specimens is estimated to be around a dozen. A dozen coins that officially don't exist. That's the kind of backstory that makes collectors' hearts beat faster. It's a numismatic treasure hunt. The coin itself features the seated Liberty design. On the obverse, you have Lady Liberty seated on a rock, holding a pole with a Phrygian cap, a symbol of freedom. The reverse features a naturalistic eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows. The key, of course, is the small S mint mark on the reverse, below the eagle. That tiny letter transforms a common coin into a legendary rarity. It's the proof of its mysterious San Francisco origins. Because it's a ghost coin with an incredible story and an absurdly low population, the 1870s seated Liberty dollar is phenomenally valuable. Every known example is a multi-million-dollar coin. It's a coin that is often the centerpiece of the world's greatest collections. One of the finest known examples, the Queller specimen, sold at auction for an incredible sum, well over $1 million. These coins are so rare they rarely trade hands, and when they do, it's always for a headline-making price. The 1870s seated Liberty dollar is the ultimate mystery coin. It's a piece that defies official records, born out of a ceremony to celebrate a new beginning for the San Francisco Mint. Its value is driven by its incredible rarity, its compelling backstory, and the simple fact that it shouldn't exist at all. For collectors, it represents the thrill of the unknown and the possibility of uncovering a lost piece of history, a true ghost from the Golden Gate. In the world of coin collecting, sometimes the smallest detail, or lack thereof, can make all the difference. Our next coin is a perfect example of this. We're looking at the 1866 seated Liberty dollar, but not just any 1866 dollar. We're talking about a special proof version that is missing something crucial, the motto, "In God We Trust." This simple omission creates one of the most fascinating and rare varieties in all of American coinage. Let's set the scene. The year is 1866, just after the end of the Civil War. The nation was going through a period of deep religious reflection. In 1864, the 2-cent piece became the first U.S. coin to bear the motto, "In God We Trust." By 1866, a law was passed requiring the motto to be added to all silver and gold coins large enough to accommodate it. The seated Liberty dollar was one of these coins. a new reverse die was created with a ribbon above the eagle, proudly displaying the new motto. So, every seeded Liberty dollar struck for circulation in 1866 and beyond had the motto. The Philadelphia Mint also struck 725 proof dollars for collectors that year, and these, too, had the motto. But here's where the mystery begins. Somehow, a very, very small number of proof 1866 dollars were struck using the old reverse die from 1865, the one without the motto. How did this happen? It was likely a mint error, a mule coin where an older die was mistakenly paired with the new 1866 obverse die. For a long time, the existence of this no motto variety was unknown. It was a secret, hidden away in a few private collections. Then in the 20th century, numismatic researchers began to piece the story together. They discovered that these weren't just standard coins that somehow missed the motto. They were proof strikes, meaning they were deliberately and carefully made. This suggested they might have been special presentation pieces, or perhaps the result of a very brief, quickly corrected error at the beginning of the proof production run. The rarity of this coin cannot be overstated. Today, only that's right, two specimens are known to exist. One of them is permanently housed in the National Numismatic Collection at the Smithsonian Institution, which means it will never be available to private collectors. That leaves only one single coin in private hands. When you have a population of one for an entire collecting market, you have the definition of the ultimate rarity. This singular, privately owned coin is one of the greatest treasures in the hobby. It has passed through the hands of some of the most legendary collectors in history, including names like Garrett and Pogue. Its provenance is as famous as the coin itself. When this coin comes up for sale, it's not just an auction, it's a historic event. The last time it sold, it fetched a price of over $1.2 million. And given its unique status, its value has likely only increased since then. The 1866 no motto seeded Liberty dollar is the epitome of a variety-driven rarity. It's not a different date or mint mark, but the absence of four simple words that makes it a legend. It represents a fascinating moment of transition at the US Mint, and a mistake that created an icon. With only one available to the public, it is a virtually unattainable prize, a true ghost that haunts the dreams of every serious numismatist. Not all million-dollar coins are from the 19th century. Sometimes a major rarity can be created by a simple mistake in the modern, high-tech US Mint. Our final coin is a perfect example of this. It's a Frankenstein's monster of a coin, an error so dramatic and rare that it became an instant legend. This is the 2000p Sacagawea dollar and statehood quarter mule. A mule, in coin collecting, is a coin struck with an obverse die and a reverse die that were not intended to be paired together. Here's how this incredible error was made. In 2000, the US Mint was striking two brand new, highly anticipated coins, the Sacagawea golden dollar and the series of 50 state quarters. Both coins have a similar diameter, which is a key part of this story. At the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P Mint mark, a press operator made a monumental mistake. They accidentally used an obverse die for a statehood quarter, the one with George Washington's portrait, and paired it with a reverse die for the new Sacagawea dollar, which features a soaring eagle. The result was a coin with George Washington on one side and the Sacagawea dollar's eagle on the other. To make it even stranger, it was struck on a golden-colored manganese brass planchet intended for the Sacagawea dollar. So you have the wrong design on the wrong metal. It's a combination of errors that in theory should be impossible given the quality control measures at the modern mint. But somehow a small number of these error coins escaped the mint's notice and were released into circulation. The first one was discovered in a roll of new Sacagawea dollars by a collector in Arkansas in May of 2000. News of the discovery spread like wildfire through the numismatic community. It was the first publicly confirmed mule error from the US Mint in its entire history. Collectors and the general public started frantically searching through every roll of golden dollars they could find, hoping to strike it rich. It created a modern-day treasure hunt. Over the years, more examples have surfaced, but the total number known remains incredibly small. As of today, fewer than 20 have been authenticated and traced. Each discovery is a major news story in the hobby. The Mint itself investigated the error and confirmed that a single pair of dies was responsible. They believe the dies were in use for a very short period before the mistake was caught and they were destroyed, which explains the low number of surviving examples. Because this is such a dramatic and famous error coin, the value is immense. It's the most famous and valuable error coin of the modern era. People are fascinated by the idea of a mistake from the highly automated mint escaping into the wild. These coins regularly sell for huge sums at auction. Depending on the condition or grade of the coin, prices can range from $80,000 to nearly $200,000. One of the finest known examples sold at auction for a staggering $192,000, the Sacagawea statehood quarter mule, is proof that treasure can still be found in your pocket change. Or at least it could have been back in 2000. It's a modern legend born from a simple human error. It shows that even in the 21st century, the world of coin collecting can produce shocking surprises and create new rarities that rival the classics of the past. It's a reminder to always check your change, because you never know what kind of mistake might be worth a fortune. So there you have it. 8 US dollar coins that are more than just money. They are artifacts, each with a unique story of history, mystery, artistry, and rarity. From the very first dollar struck in 1794 to a modern-day mistake, these coins show us that value isn't just about the silver or gold content. It's about the journey they've been on and the piece of the American story they represent. Holding one of these is like holding history in the palm of your hand. They connect us to the past in a way that few other things can, reminding us of the people and events that shaped the nation. But a story this good comes with a word of caution. The world of rare coins is full of fakes and forgeries. If you ever think you found a treasure, whether it's in 1893 S. Morgan in your grandpa's old cigar box or something you found at a flea market, it's critical to be careful. Before you ever consider buying or selling a rare coin, you have to get it authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGs or NGC. Always consult with a trusted expert. In my business, I always say, I'm calling my buddy who's an expert, and you should too. Don't let the excitement of a potential discovery cloud your judgment. The stories of these 8 coins are just the beginning. The world of numismatics is vast and endlessly fascinating, with treasures still waiting to be discovered. Every coin has a story to tell. If you enjoyed this journey through America's most valuable dollars and want to learn more about the history, design, and value of other legendary coins, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll be diving deeper into the tales behind the treasures in future episodes. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting.